Well, this is potentially going to be the biggest summer in non-league to legend. I'm not even going to say so far, just full stop. I think the coming season has to be our final one at Fulham. We need to put together a squad that can challenge for the Champions League qualification spot. Obviously, we're not going to win it. Hello and welcome to Club 4, part 30 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we are doing our usual season-ending season review, plus we are going to be doing our summer transfers as we try and put together a squad capable of qualifying for Europe for a third season in a row. Worryingly, we've not got the little EC next to us there. We did get a notification through, though, saying we've definitely qualified for Europe. If you missed yesterday's episode, we definitely qualified for Europe. And we haven't got all the season review stuff through yet, but the reason I started the episode when I have is because I just wanted to show you that. Mitrovic is back-to-back Premier League top goal scorer. Who would have thought when we arrived at Fulham, where were we? There, halfway through that season, that Alexander Mitrovic would win the Golden Boot in the Premier League twice. Let's have a look at his biography now. Premier League top goal scorer on 2 occasions. That's a career. Well done, Mr. Mitrovic. And Simon Hall's obviously not going to Wolves. Right, we'll move on. Come back when we do the season review stuff, and then get into the meat of the transfers. But yay for Mitrovic. We don't have any budgets yet, by the way. Ignore me, we do have budgets, and oh my word, the board have decided it's playtime. £1.4 million a week in wage budget, £65 million of transfer budget. Oh, I'm going to buy some players, boys and girls. Oh my word, we're going to have a good time. Shall we try and, can we extend Schuster's loan? That should be first order of business. End of season. That means end of next season, doesn't it, at this point? So let's try and extend his loan. If we can extend all of the loan players and have this exact squad to play with and £65 million to strengthen it, that would be insane. Right, Ceballos we're not going to get because Napoli want to give him first team football. We could buy him for £37.5 million. Not interested. Did I just make an offer for him? Withdraw. I don't want to make an offer for him. Franco would be one who I'd like to have on loan again if we can have the opportunity to have him on loan again. Benfica want to give him a chance in the first team. This started so well, now it's all going wrong. Pineda, we already know from yesterday, can't get a work permit to play for us. Garces will have a work permit for us for next season, though. So, I mean, really, if we can get Schuster and keep Schuster and Kubik together at the back, then, I mean, that's a decent base to build from. And then we just need to add to it. Well, they changed their mind. Did they change their mind? I'm pretty sure they didn't say that a minute ago. It looks like we're not getting Schuster either. Oh, I really wanted him. Can we get him permanently? I imagine they're going to want far too much money for him. We've got players going to the... Oh, is it World Cup time again? Pineda. See, Pineda's going to the World Cup with Mexico, but hasn't played enough games for Mexico to get a work permit to play in the Premier League. Insane. Garces also going off to the World Cup. Worryingly, Simon Hall's not going. Does that mean England didn't qualify, or Hall's not made it? Why is it 3-team groups? Is this what's going to happen to the World Cup? 3-team groups? How do they work? Let's look at England. Am I getting I assume you lot already know about this. So it's 3-team groups where you still just play each other once. So I guess the top team... I don't know how the World Cup's going to work in the future, and I'm afraid of it. Why wasn't Simon Hall in this squad? Very sad. Well, Tottenham dismissed my inquiry about Schuster's availability, so he's not going to be here next year. But we do have our awards and things. So this is the Fulham all-time best 11 now, and it is starting to look a lot like our team. Lopez now the goalkeeper. Mawson has made it into... No, Mawson was already... In fact, that back four was there last year. I think that midfield was there last year. Is there anyone new in this? Oh, Lopez is the only new one who's been added. Yeah, there you go. Let's have a look at the where are they now. So Rinner's at Sampdoria. Cullen is at Besiktas. Josh Cullen went... Did we sell him to Besiktas? Oh, there you go. Who knew? Joe Bryan is for Club Brugge. We've sent all the old men on a European tour. Who else was ours? No. Liam Moore is Akimat in Russia. Never heard of them. Albrighton is at Bourges Peronas in France. They really are just going all over the world. Ollie McBurney is still in Saudi Arabia, banging goals in for fun. And Mendy has turned into Hercules. So lots of players going all around the world. But this is the important stuff. The end of season awards. Mitrovic, player of the season, 35% of the votes. Schuster, 28%, not going to be here next year. Sessegnon, 23%. Mitrovic got goal of the season way back in August. Was this the first game of the season? This must have been very early on. I think this might have been the second game of the season. I think it was in the first episode of this season. So you might even remember the goal. I don't remember the goal. I don't remember things like that. Mitrovic picks it up. Oh, I do remember this goal. I remember. Oh, yeah. Okay. For once, I can agree that was the best goal this season. That was a stunning goal. Mirabella gets signing of the season, obviously. And Paul Bell, young player of the season, which again, I think that's pretty obvious as well. So team of the year was Lopez in goal, a back four of Bell, Schuster, Duffy, and Sessegnon. That's why you give him 5-year contracts, get him in team of the year. Toussaint, Horta and Calderon the midfield, Mirabella, Mitrovic and Lucas Moura up front. Quite telling that Ceballos not part of the team of the year, so we're not going to spend £40 million on him. Top scorer was obviously Mitrovic with 20 goals. All 20 of his goals in the Premier League. I guess we didn't really play him in other competitions, but yeah, 20 goals from 36 appearances in the Premier League, just like last year. But last year, he did score some goals. In fact, he didn't score any goals. Mitrovic can't play in cups. Do not play Mitrovic in cup games. He clearly bottles them. So Mitrovic, top scorer. Shane Duffy, highest average rating. And you all said I shouldn't give him a 5-year contract. Best player at the club, Shane Duffy. Simon Hall, most assists. Joe Williams, best pass completion. We're letting him go this summer. He looked quite good when he arrived last year. He's not been very good this season. He'll be moving on. Mitrovic and Bell sharing Man of the Match awards. Sessegnon and Toussaint, the ruffians who pick up the most cards. Season review. 'Twas a good season. We don't need to know about the 2020 team because it was nothing to do with us. That's what our dynamics looks like. So team leaders, Mawson, Mitrovic, Duffy. We're probably going to sell Alfie Mawson this summer. There's been interest in him from a few clubs, Southampton most notably. Mitrovic will be hopefully replaced by Garces, but will still be around the team. Back-to-back Golden Boot, can't move him on completely. And Shane Duffy's going to be here for life. End of season team meeting, discuss plans for next year. We want to finish in the Europa League again. Too ambitious. We've qualified for the Europa League the last 2 years, you idiots. No, it doesn't give me the option to say, well, we will. Oh, okay. There you go. I disagree. Well, I'm just going to argue. Bunch of morons. I've upset them all. Ready for their summer holidays. I can live with that. Pre-season start date. That's fine. And West Brom want Joe Williams. If they're going to give us £3.7 million for him, we will bite their arms off. Right. Let's have a little look on here as well. So I mentioned in the last episode that we've had players who've played a lot of games. I've rotated reasonably well, but we've still got a bunch of players who've played more than 40 games this season. So that's a situation we probably need to rectify next year. Try and share the games around a little bit. It was interesting that on the last game of the season, Mirabella is the one who still looked alive. He only played 35 games. Because we had Kays Ruiz as a player, we could properly rotate with him. Ruiz playing 17 games from the same position. So if we can get good quality backup, then we can keep both players in better form throughout the season. It's revolutionary stuff you're learning here today. Top goal scorers, Mitrovic, Mirabella. Very promising to see. Garces got 15 goals playing in La Liga, so he's going to come straight in and hopefully weigh in with some goals. Some important goals from Moura, Thorne, Ruiz. Freddie Power, I think, is probably done. He spent the season out on loan at Shrewsbury in the Championship and only got 12 goals for them. Freddie Power is finished. And assists-wise, Hall, Moura, Horta, Bell, the ones you'd expect. And by average ratings, it's pretty much the standard starting team with the better players. And I think that is an illustration of where our team's quite weak, actually, because once you get beyond those first-choice players, you start to really have a drop down in performance and ability. which we need to fix for next year. But that is your season review. We have a bunch of cash to spend, £65 million. If we were to switch all that to wage budget, which obviously we won't, we could go up there or we could push that up there. We're not going to change either of those just yet. And I'm going to start working through all of my scouted players and making some decisions about who we're going to make some offers for. And the next time you see me, I mean, we don't even have to necessarily wait to the 1st of July this year. I think we're probably beyond bringing in free transfers. We've done it the last few years and they've been a bit of a waste. The free transfers we brought in haven't really been any good. So unless someone really special comes along, I think we'll probably not put much significance on the 1st of July and just try and do a grown-ups transfer window and bring in 2 or 3 really good players, do well with some loans again through good old Mike Phelan and his loan machine, and we'll see how we get on. Couple more pieces of news before we get on to transfers. We've got a new soft drinks partnership. Kev Cola is, it's actual co-branded beverages. Kev Cola is a thing. If it wasn't a thing before, it's a thing now. We've actually increased our sponsorships by nearly £10 million a year. These are our most popular players commercially. Obviously, Ceballos won't be here. The rest of those will be. We've got our new scouting budget, but this is important. We're expanding the stadium again. So I think we did this last summer, didn't we? Or were we looking into it last summer? So in fact, yeah, I think this is just confirmation of what we were going to do last year. But it looks like we're actually doing it now. So by the end of the summer, we should, at the cost of £10 million, it's not a new stadium, is it? It says new stadium plans there, but it's not. It's an expansion of the existing stadium, I think. So, yeah, we're just adding some more seats. So I think we already knew that was happening. That's weird that that's come through as another notification. And yes, I would love to increase our youth level. Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. Now we'll try and do some transfers. First 2 transfers have gone through then. We've sold Joe Williams to Brentford for £5.5 million. I feel like I should have been wearing a mask as part of that mugging. But £5.5 million for Joe Williams. And we've gone and splashed a whole load of money on the player we probably should have signed last pre-season. We've signed a right back, everybody. A young right back as well. No more of this spending loads of money on old men. We've bought a 23-year-old right back with potential, current England under-21 international, on the verge of the full England squad. 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential, better than Steven Sessegnon. We've probably got the 2 best young right backs in the Premier League now, I would say. He's spent lots of time playing Premier League games for Everton. Yes, we've spent £34.5 million on him, but you know what? We've still got almost as much again to spend on somebody else, and that's the kind of quality of player that we need to be bringing in. We've also agreed to sell Wendell. I forget where he's going. Wendell is going to... There he is. Wendell is going to... Where is he going? Salzburg. To... why am I telling you he's 2.5-star? You know that. He's going to Salzburg for almost no money. And my head of youth development has signed this guy who... I mean, I hadn't... He's a free transfer coming in from Man City. He's a 19-year-old right back. I thought, why not? Let him have his fun. Then I scouted him. And, I mean, he'll sit in the under-23s and you'll never see him again. But that's Steve Swain. And that's it so far. There's lots of offers coming in for Simon Hall in the £30 to £40 million range. I've got no interest in selling him. And I'm fairly happy with my squad. I'm waiting for the right players to come along. Don't expect loads more signings. Maybe another 2 or 3 players, plus probably a couple of loans through good old Mike Phelan as well. And then we have got Europa League qualification to do this summer. I don't know why we have to do this year, but we didn't last year. We finished in the same position in the league as we did last year, but we've got to do this. So I think we'll probably finish our transfer special before the end of the transfer window. We'll go up until the day before that match. First game of next season can be those 2 matches, I guess. Unless we just do those offline. I'll ponder what I want to do with that. I might just do them offline. Because I don't know if anyone cares about them. Remembering back in the Borough last year when Stoke got relegated and we raided them for like 3 or 4 of their players, and suddenly that was the thing that made us a good team? Well, Everton have just got relegated and we've signed a second player from Everton, Ross Barkley, who I guess made his way back to Everton at some point. Spent a year and a half at Chelsea, or 2 years at Chelsea. Went to Tottenham, was at Tottenham for ages. Everton then spent £26.5 million to bring him back. And after 2 years there, we've got him for 6.5 million. He's 32 now, but would be as good as Horta as an attacking midfielder, as good as Horta as a central midfielder. I remember how good Ross Barkley was for my Chelsea team in my beta save this year. And yes, he's 32, but I think Ross Barkley has got a good couple of years in him yet. For £6.5 million, he's your replacement for Ceballos and Pineda and Williams, all rolled into one in the centre of midfield, plus gives us the option to use a 4-2-3-1 if we want to, without having to push Horta up out of the midfield. The other new signing, of course, that isn't really a new signing, not Girona, Edison Garces is now a proper Fulham player. Let's take him off the loan list straight away. No more available for loan. You are going to be part of our squad this year. I've given him the number 9 shirt already as a little reminder. He's a 3-star current ability, 5-star potential, Colombian wonder kid, already very well suited to the Premier League. Scored 11 goals in 33 appearances in the Liga last year. And we've already almost had him paid for out of the loan fee. We almost made a profit on him already. This guy's going to be a superstar. I'm very excited. That's like a new signing. We wouldn't have been able to get this guy with the money we had left. We've still got £27 million of transfer budget to spend, and we've brought in 2 players, Barkley and what's the fullback's name? Pete, plus added Garces. The squad's already better than it was a month ago, and we've got loads of money left to spend yet. This is so much fun. But it's so much fun, I can't have all that fun in one day. So I'm going to click my fingers, change my outfit, and return. I mean, you won't. The episode will just carry on. I don't even know why I tell you. It's just in case you know he's wearing a different shirt. What's gone on there? Well, now you know. And there we go. Smart myself up a little bit for the second half of our summer. And it is the 1st of July. It must have been the 1st of July when I stopped yesterday, because that's where it was when I've loaded things up today. Let's have a look at how our team is, how our squad is looking going into the rest of this transfer window. So goalkeeper-wise, I'm pretty comfortable. We've got Lopez. We've got Randall as a backup. Randall, although he's only 2-star current ability, is a 3.5-star potential ability, potential future Premier League goalkeeper. He didn't let us down last year when he got his opportunities. I think I'm happy with Randall as our backup, unless we find a really special young goalkeeper, like the one we had a couple of seasons ago, whose name escapes me, the lad we had on loan. If someone like that came available, obviously things would change. Defence-wise, Bell is going to be our first choice left back, just like he was last season. He's still not the finished article. He's still only 21 years old, but he's going to get better and better, and we want to help develop him. He's one of our own, so again, similar situation. If we find a really good young potential backup, then we'll bring them in. Otherwise, we'll just go with Bell and these lads as backups. Centre back, I think we probably do need to strengthen. We've got Kubik, but we've lost Schuster, who's gone back to Tottenham after his loan last year. So we've only got Mawson and Duffy as options to play with him. Mawson is 32 now and didn't really live up to his former standards last season. And Shane Duffy, I know he's on a lovely long contract, and he is going to be turning 35 during the course of this season, and again hasn't been a regular for the last couple of years. So we need someone to partner Kubik at the back with those two offering backup. Right back, we're absolutely sorted. It's like a reverse of last summer. We've got Pete, we've got Sessegnon, we've got Unsworth. I think those three, that's all we need. If we could train one of them to go and play left back, that would be quite handy. In fact, Unsworth is already a competent left back, so he might end up being drafted over to the other side of the pitch if we don't manage to find someone to come in as understudy for Bell. Defensive midfielder, we've got Toussaint, Calderon, Mawson, Duffy, Barkley. They can all play there. I don't want to play any of them there. I think what I'm more likely to do, if we have any problems with Toussaint, with form or injuries or anything like that, we'll probably just go to a 4-2-3-1 and play Barkley or Horta up here and forget about having a backup for Toussaint. If it wasn't for the fact Toussaint is as good as he is, we'd probably abandon the 4-3-3 and move straight on to a 4-2-3-1, but Toussaint can't really do central midfield very well. So for now, we stick with that, but I'm not desperately keen to buy another one again, unless we find a superstar. That's really the motto for this summer. If we find a reasonably priced superstar, we'll bring them in whatever position they're in. But I don't think there's anywhere we desperately need to strengthen. Central midfield, Horta and Barkley are going to be a good partnership. And then we've got not much behind them. Calderon's still here. Perby, he's 22 now. We've given him opportunities before. He's been out on loan for the last couple of years. after 2 years since we last saw him play, he might now be a Premier League player. I'm not holding my breath, so we probably need another central midfield player. And I mean, Calderon's there as an adequate backup. Toussaint can do it, but we do look a little bit thin once we move beyond Horta and Barkley. Left wing, we're sorted. Mirabella and Ruiz, we're fine. Hall and Mora on the right wing, we're fine. Mitrovic, Garces, Thorne up front, we're absolutely fine. We don't need to strengthen anywhere in the attack. My focus is very much central midfield, centre back, maybe a left back, maybe a goalkeeper if that comes up, but I'm not desperate. We're not going to be searching through all the free transfers. If anyone really good comes up on a scout report, then we might have a look, but we've not really benefited from bringing in old men on frees. So we're going to abandon that policy, save the wage budget, and hopefully see if Mike Phelan can deliver some brilliant loans again like he has the last few years. It's proving to be a frustrating summer so far. We've just missed out on this guy. We agreed terms with him on a £20 million move. He would have come in as a partner for Kubic, only 21 years old. Almost as good as Kubic already, with potential to improve. Signed for Barcelona for 30 million from Leverkusen last summer. Barely played, but he's decided to go back to Dortmund, presumably for Champions League football. And we've just missed out on another one as well. We'd agreed terms with N'Golo Kante. I know I said I didn't want old men, but Kante would have come in as our best midfielder. And he's still classed as a world-class midfielder, age 35, but he's decided to go to Nantes, presumably because he wants to go back to France, maybe? Are they? They're not in Europe at all. So the only logic is wanting to go back to France, I guess. We are in the process of trying to raid Everton again. We've already signed 2 of their players. We're now trying to get a third, Mason Holgate. Not exactly my young and hungry model that I'm looking for this summer. But at 29, he's younger than Mawson and Duffy by several years. And he's almost as good as Kubic. He's obviously not going to improve at this stage, but he's got absolutely bags of Premier League experience. Been a Premier League regular with Everton for like 10 years. I think as a reasonably priced partner for Kubic, it's an upgrade on what we've got now. It would make him the 3rd player we've brought in from Everton this summer, relegated Everton. So I know there's some people saying, Kev, they got relegated, stop signing all their players. It's not just me. Look, everyone's signing all their players. Clearly, the players weren't the problem. It was obviously the manager. But, yeah, I've done it before. I did this with Nuneaton and we raided Stoke, and it was the thing that took us to the next level. So we'll see. We might not even get Holgate because Chelsea are interested in him as well. So Chelsea might just take him out from under us, and it continues to be a frustrating summer as we just identify players who would improve us, and then they get whipped away to other clubs even after agreeing terms with us, and that makes me very sad. I officially hate this summer. What do Chelsea want with him? Chelsea aren't going to play him. Ridiculous. They just took him so we couldn't have him. The search for a centre-back continues. That's 2 we've missed out on now, and Kante. My director of football is trying to bring in a midfielder though, so he's sticking with the old man model. Marko Grujic from Lazio, if I can actually click on him and show you him. We have just got a scout report in on him. He would come in as our best defensive midfielder, which I've already said I don't really want to strengthen, but also best central midfielder. So if we can tie him down to a loan, I think that's probably a good piece of business. But I'm having less fun and less luck than Mike Phelan is at the moment. And we've just turned down a near £50 million bid for Simon Hall from Newcastle, who were also relegated, I think. Oh no, they got promoted. Because I'm sure they were down in the Championship last season. Yeah, so newly promoted Newcastle, they've got £50 million to throw around on England internationals. We're not on the same playing field as some of these teams. This is ridiculous. So many jobs available. Jobs... Oh, blimey heck. I'm just going to give up and go home in a minute. This is... Can we sign... Please, we've got all this money to spend and we can't bring in any players. What is happening? Next target, a left-back, Dominic Guevara, 22 years old. He's 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, roughly equivalent to Paul Bell. I mentioned a left-back would be handy if we could find one who's young, got some potential to improve. He feels like one who's quite capable of doing that. The only problem is, of course, Newcastle are now in for him, so presumably he's just going to go to Newcastle, and the whole ongoing, every player that we want to sign goes to someone else will continue. Because the world is against me this pre-season. I've agreed terms with Dominic Guevara. If he doesn't sign, I call shenanigans. I finally have a player. Dominic Guevara is in. And actually, my coaches seem to think he's a little bit better than my scouts. In fact, is this a positional thing? Why is he... Is it just different people judging him? Because on there, it shows him as 3.5. From my assistant manager thinks he's 3.5 star. The actual judging ability coach says 3 star. Either way, fans have noted that the squad is now overloaded with players who can play as left back. You what? Because we've got 2. I mean, Kubik is a centre back, Sessegnon's a right back, Unsworth's a right back. We have 2 left backs, and the fans think we're overloaded with left backs. Let's hope we don't manage to find another midfielder to bring in then. Are we overloaded there as well? That's my big concern now. I'd love a new centre back, but we can get by with 3 if we have to. 2 midfielders, that's a worry. So we really need to do a little bit. We need more business. We've not got much money left. We need Mike Phelan to pull his finger out and do some loans. He hasn't done any for us yet. This isn't how it usually works, Mike. Where's our loans, for goodness sake? We've just played the first leg of the Europa League qualifying thing. We beat Luzern 5-2. Bit of a scare because we were 2-1 down after 11 minutes, but Horta equalised immediately. We went with a 4-2-3-1 in that game, and it really highlighted the fact that we desperately need midfield players. We had to start Hussein Purbay. Toussaint was suspended for the Europa League game, so we just did what I said we'd do. Toussaint's unavailable. We switched to a 4-2-3-1, and we really need another midfield player quite desperately. That is now top of my shopping list. We've got the return leg against Luzern coming up in a week's time, and then the Premier League season starts a week later. So we've still got a couple of weeks of transfer window left, but we really do need to start doing some business. Please, I need some players to actually agree to sign for me. I have a horrible feeling it's happening again. Our 3rd centre-back of the pre-season that we've agreed terms with. I know he's an old man. I know I said we weren't going to do old men at 32, but Victor Lindelof would come in as good as Kubic. It would be a good partnership. He's ready to leave Manchester United, where he's been playing regularly for a long, long time. So I'll take an old man. We've had an offer accepted. We've agreed terms with him. And now Sampdoria are in. Watch him go to Sampdoria. Sampdoria, where did they finish last season? Okay, fair enough. They're in the Europa League. We're still stuck deep in horrible qualifying. Maybe he should go there. I just don't know anymore. Please let me sign a defender. How many Europa League qualifying rounds have we got to do? We still haven't had the second leg against Luzern yet. We didn't do any qualifying last year. There's 88 teams left in this. Oh, just draw all of them. Where are we on here? Hapoel Tel Aviv will face Fulham or Luzern. Why are we... I don't want to be in this anymore. Can we just withdraw? I might just throw the game against Luzern. We're probably too far ahead to lose on purpose. I don't want all these extra matches. This is stupid. Second leg against Luzern, then we won 2-0. Fairly comfortable. Back to the 4-3-3. Everyone did what they were expected to do. Slight worry about Gartes. We've played him twice now, and he's not looked spectacular yet. I was hoping for spectacular, but I guess... You know, he's got to get used to the team. We've only given him 2 20-minute substitute appearances. His time will come. So we now play Hapoel Tel Aviv. I guess we'll do that one offline again, and you'll find out the result this episode. And then tomorrow's video will be the first game of the Premier League season against Villa, and then the second leg against Tel Aviv, when hopefully we book our spot in the Europa League group stages. Unless there's like 2 more qualifying rounds that I don't know about, which wouldn't surprise me. I give up. What on earth do they want with him? They've already sold a better defender than him this summer, who they didn't play. I give up. Well, transfer window has just closed, and of course Victor Lindelof went to Barcelona at the last minute. But for some reason, Mike Phelan didn't sign anyone on loan this summer, but Kev did some deadline day business, and I'm quite happy with what I've done. I've signed 1 player permanently, 1 player on loan, and goodness me, am I happy with these 2 players. Jorrit Hendricks has come in as our new midfield player that we needed, also provides cover at centre-back, but he'll come in, play central midfield, play defensive midfield if need be. He's as good as Toussaint. He's not quite up there with Horta and Barkley in midfield, but he's certainly a good option to have around. He's a model citizen, but most importantly, look at all this experience he's got at big clubs, Manchester United, Arsenal. Inexplicably spent a long time at Watford, but later in his career has moved on to bigger clubs. He's in on loan for the season. Very happy with him, but even happier with Cesar Montes, who is our new centre-back partner for Kubic. 29-year-old Mexican international, 4-star current ability, pretty much up there as good as Kubic. Has been at Manchester United for the last goodness knows how many years. So, I don't know. Lindelof went to Barcelona. We got probably the better of the two and the younger of the two. Things have turned out quite well in the end. We paid £25 million for him. But we did it on the never. We'll let the next manager worry about that, because after a summer like this one, I don't know how much longer I can stick it out at Fulham. If we don't end up in the Champions League this year, I can't do another summer like this. There weren't really any decent jobs that came up over the summer. Hamburg, are they in Europe? They are in Europe. Can I apply for a job now? I've applied for a couple. There have been jobs that have come available, but usually I just get turned down straight away. They haven't turned me down straight away. Imagine doing that summer and then ending up at Hamburg. But it has been a very frustrating summer. But we have a squad now. This is what the squad looks like. I don't think it's disastrous. Mitrovic, Thorne, Garces, good as strikers. Mirabella, Ruiz, good wingers. Hall, Mora, good on the other side. Central midfield, we've now got Horta, Barkley, Hendricks, and then Purby and Calderon as backups. Toussaint, Hendricks, Calderon can all play as defensive midfielders. And of course we've got Horta and Barkley who can play up as attacking midfielders as well. We've got Bell and Yeboah as left backs. Pete and Sessegnon as right backs. Kubic, Montes, Mawson, Duffy, Hendricks as cover as well at centre-back, and then Lopez with Ben Randall as a backup in goal. We've taken the long route around and spent an awful lot of money to get there, but I think we have improved the squad. But we shall see. We're not going to end the episode right here. I'm going to play the game against Hapoel Tel Aviv and give you the result of that. And then we will wrap things up and you can see how this team plays together in tomorrow's video, where it will be the Aston Villa game and the second leg against Tel Aviv. But let's play that first leg now so you can see how we get on. Comfortable win against Hapoel Tel Aviv, then 3-0. We were using the 4-3-3 again. I think this is obviously going to be our system. We couldn't play either of the two new signings in that game because they weren't registered in time, but they will be playing in tomorrow's episode in the first day of the new season against Aston Villa. This is what our team looks like for the first day of the new season. I think that looks like a pretty decent team, and we will see them in action tomorrow. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.